There has never been a more crucial time. Why? Because we're facing every day what I call a tsunami of sin. Do you remember that? It was a couple years ago, wasn't it? The big tsunami over in Indonesia and in Bali High or wherever it was. I remember some island out there. 200,000 people killed. Do you remember watching it? They finally got and all of a sudden everyone was on the beach and that wave just went, whoo. It was unbelievable. Did you know there's a tsunami of sin that washes over us every day? You just go out and walk through the world, and you and I are just hit by this wave of sin. Neil Postman said this: right now television has the culture by its throat. He wrote that 15 years ago. Right now media, every form, whether it be the streaming on your cell phone, or whether it be your computer, or whether it be your television, or whether it be whatever form the media comes, it has the culture by the throat. According to an article recently in Time magazine, the average viewer sees more than 9,000 scenes of suggested immorality on primetime TV in 1 year. If you just watch primetime, which I guess is like 7 to 9 or 10, on a regular basis, you'll see 9,000 immoral scenes. You know what that does after a while? You say, well, that's not as bad as this. They didn't show that. They only did a little of that. And see, what happens is the sheer volume causes us to lessen God's standard. And is music any better? No. According to media analysts, secular music is filled with violence, the occult, rebellion, drug abuse, promiscuity, homosexuality. Those are constant themes, it said in the U.S. News and World Report. If you couple that to the fact that most teens listen to an estimated 10,500 hours of rock music between the 7th and 12th grades. That's a lot in those 5 years. That's like the whole working time. That means they're just listening all the time, 2,000 hours a year. And to think of that 10,500 hours is only 500 hours less than the time they'll spend in school in grades 1 through 12. So they've been more educated by the music that they've heard than they have by the school they've been in, wherever that was. We are being swept away by a society that, like the fool in Psalm 14:1, believes that there is no God. I'm not describing these evils so you'll all go home and crash your computer and burn your TV and go hide in the mountains like the cult in Russia is doing, or was over the weekend in that cave. Rather, it's to give you a sampling of the powerful tsunami of godlessness we're all contending with daily. In the years ahead, we are moving into a time when the fictional world of human imagination is where most people will live a lot of the time. Do you realize that? Do you realize where this whole electronic thing is going? It's getting better and better and better at creating things that aren't true. And it's so powerful a medium that it's hard to differentiate between what's true and what's not. In fact, even here in our Sunday school, when they're teaching Sunday school, if the Sunday school teacher says something that the Disney movie on Joseph didn't do, the kids question, they say, well, wait a minute, when I saw Joseph, the Prince of Egypt, and they go, well, are you talking about the Disney movie? Yeah. Well, that isn't from the Bible. Oh. But the Disney movie, they know better than the Bible. That doesn't mean go burn all your Disney movies. It means realize the tsunami, the powerful effect. And what needs to start is not to ban the television from the children. It's ban the television from the adults. Because they are the ones shaping the children. And they are not serious in feeling the weight of God. Well, continuing, our virtual reality systems electronically allow us to lie back and experience the heavenly pleasures of sight and sound in a snug electronic nest. People are increasingly... I remember when I was in seminary at Dallas, a good friend of mine had the first system I'd ever seen with surround sound, and he was so excited. He put my chair in the middle of his living room, and he had one of those. Now, this was 15 years ago, and it was primitive. But he had a big screen projector, and he had speakers so that you would hear, it was Top Gun back then. You would hear the plane here, and then you heard it here, and then you heard it there. And it almost made you turn around because it was so real. That is so archaic compared to what we have now. We live in our little snug electronic nests. The real world is almost completely blotted out from our experience because we spend so much time in virtual reality in fictional worlds of human imagination. Movies continue their slide in the direction of violence and nudity and objectionable language. Many blockbuster movies now have elements of all three, and the tendency in this direction is mainstreamed and hardly elicits a yawn. Children at younger and younger ages are drawn into the movie video habit, especially with the common use of videos for babysitting. As parents become more overloaded, it's simply too tempting to not just put a video on, place the children in front of the set, and they are well behaved and even entranced. And as for the busy, stressed out, exhausted parents, there's nothing more attractive than quiet children, unless we consider what that's doing to them and doing to us. We need to consider the spiritual effects of media exposure. The ocean of media we sail through each day is slowly seeping into our spiritual operating systems. Before our eyes, in the last generation, the media has changed societal thought and behavior profoundly. We're starting to experience things globally. We have group events now with everybody on the planet. Just like 9/11 was a global event, more and more entertainment and sporting and every other event are becoming global. There's a global consciousness now of events. A Christian doctor in Florida wrote down a list. He said, media resets the moral acceptability threshold. In other words, what used to offend us doesn't anymore. That's all that means. Media resets our shock threshold. Used to be people would go, they don't do that anymore. Doesn't shock. Nothing shocks. Nothing shocks 8-year-olds. You can talk to them about anything. They already know it. It's just they've had it. Media resets the boredom threshold. Children who are used to watching media on a regular basis feel lonely only a few moments after the absence of the media. It's become their world, and if you stop it, you've taken their world away from them. And it's so hard. This doctor says media results in addictive behavior. It's culturally acceptable to use media to keep kids' attention so that from their earliest memory, children are conditioned to watch, enjoy, and want movies and music and gaming. And because media has come to define their world, just taking it away is like having their world taken away. And the absence of media makes people feel like nothing is left because media has become intertwined with their relationships, comforts, enjoyments, and security. Finally, this doctor said, increased exposure to immorality comes through media. The pervasiveness of media leads to an almost unavoidable exposure to sexually explicit material at ever younger ages. Teenagers watch an average of 3 hours of TV per day. They listen to music for an additional 1 or 2 hours. They often have access to R-rated movies and even pornography long before they become adults. That is so common nowadays. Add to that the thousands of commercials every year the teenagers in America see. They have a constant message. The message is, sex is fun, sex is sexy, everyone out there is having sex but you. What's wrong with you? And you have a dominating influence on their lives.